Well, hey, Robbie. Tony. Well, this is, hey, thanks. It's my superhero shirt. So, um, it's hard to find shirts that, like these type of tees at a lot of places, but got to go to the big and tall store so that I can get something that fits. So, what's up, Jack? It's really weird being on this side because I can't hear anybody talking. So, well, howdy, howdy, Money Pit, Rebecca. Yeah, I bet it does. Um, I enjoyed being on with Jack last week, week before, whenever it was, because I'm better with the interaction, but this I'll get used to it. So, well, my channel is about, well, it's about a lot of things, but we've got 4 chickens and we have a dog, and we try to have a garden, and I talk about my health journey and all kinds of stuff. So, um, but I'm also wondering if I should have done my phone that way for the first live. Just, but whatever. You're from Texas. All right. I'm from Oklahoma. Um, this has been it's been an interesting week. We had so last Sunday our pastor was his last Sunday was his last day, and so we are I'm an elder at the church, and so we are looking at going through the process of finding another pastor, and we're going to have different people fill the pulpit. And today was my day to fill the pulpit. So this week I was preparing to preach for this morning. So and it went well. It was real good, and yeah. So hi, Joy. I think I knew that Rebecca in Missouri, but it was good, Jack. I have I have a lot of experience through the years of filling a pulpit, but I don't get to preach all that often, and so it takes me the first third of the message before I really kind of get into it and feel comfortable. So it wasn't too bad, but overall it wound up being pretty good. So well, I appreciate it. I really appreciate that. So I said earlier that I don't I'm not going to do any tricks, but I'll tell a story. And so this morning, this is what I opened with. And so back in the day, there was a pastor, and his name was Carl, and he would preach every Sunday, and he would preach exactly 20 minutes every week, and he did it for years and years, 20 minutes every Sunday. And after number of years, one of the congregants came to him and said, Pastor Carl, how in the world do you keep your sermons to exactly 20 minutes every Sunday, regardless of what passage you're preaching or a special occasion or whatever's going on? How in the world do you keep it right exactly at 20 minutes? And Pastor Carl said, well, when I was a young pastor and I was struggling, I would preach and it would be 11 or 12 minutes, and I would preach and it would be 46 minutes, and it was all across the board. And I had an older pastor that came to me and said, Carl, do you ever want to try to get your sermons to a manageable time where it's always the same amount of time that you're preaching? And he said, well, yeah, I've been trying to do that, but I can't figure it out. And he said the older pastor told him, before you get up on a Sunday morning to preach, put a lifesaver in your mouth. And it takes 20 minutes for a lifesaver to dissolve in your mouth. And so when you are finished with a lifesaver, you know you need to stop. And so he said, I started doing that 30 some years ago. And ever since then, I preach exactly 20 minutes. That lifesaver is gone, and I know I need to stop. He said, but one time I was preaching, I popped the lifesaver in my mouth, and I started preaching. I was preaching, and I was going on, and I thought, man, I am getting a lot of information out there in this 20 minutes, and it just feels like I keep going and going, and the Lord is really moving. And he said, I looked up at the clock. It had been an hour and 10 minutes. And so he's like, man, that is a long-lasting lifesaver. And he swirled it around in his mouth, and he said, that wasn't a lifesaver. That was a button. So there you go. That's how I started this morning. And I'd heard that a handful of times before, and I thought that was great to start. I thought it was funny. So, oh, thanks, Dina. I know I missed. So, what do y'all want to talk about? I don't have a lot because I'm not used to doing this. But yeah, it was a long-lasting button, and I started the story as I was putting a cough drop in my mouth, so it kind of made sense. Um, well, I've been coughing for a couple of months, and so this week, every day, I've been chewing on cough drops, not all day long, but just a few times a day. I'll start having coughing fits, and I can't tell if it's the junk that's been going around or if it has to do with medication that the doctor put me on here a few months ago, but it's kind of annoying. But hey, what's up, Richard? Good to see you. So I don't know. Hopefully my cough will go away, but I need to take a look at my medications and see which one of them, if any, have a dry cough side effects. So yeah, I like Halls, but I typically do the strong cherry ones. Oh, sweet potatoes. I'm not a big fan of sweet potatoes. Um, I don't know why. I never have. I've tried to like them, but I just can't. Yeah, and lisinopril. I'm not sure. That might be what I'm on, or generic for it, but I'll have to take a look. Thanks, Jack. Vicks Vapo Cool. Yeah, I may look into that. I've been drinking a lot of water too. I'll always have something to drink available because um, sometimes I need to get the cough drop kick started because I sometimes don't have enough saliva in my mouth. Um, y'all see this blanket right here? This Afghan. Kelly made that. She had she likes things that look retro, more like 70s, 80s, and so that's one that she made with her own hands. That's why I started with a cough drop in my mouth. So Kelly has made um, Kelly's made a number of Afghans and blankets, but she's made a whole bunch of beanies and scarves and stuff like that. So she's made me a few scarves and a handful of hats, and so she's pretty handy to have around. Let's see. Yeah, Jack, I've seen a lot of videos lately, people talking about keto and carnivore and the benefits that they have had from it, and I have seen people talk about they had kind of a chronic or just a nagging cough, and that it did help them. So that's just one of the things that uh, one of the things one of the reasons why I'm interested in going that route. Plus, I have seen a lot of um, I've watched a lot of videos of um, homeopaths and just and regular doctors that actually paid attention in nutrition class, because I know that 85% of all medical schools do not require nutrition of any sort to graduate and get your degree. Um, they just push the pharmaceuticals, and I mean that goes way back to Rockefeller, and I mean that's a whole other story that I'm not going to get into. But Rockefeller essentially was just he was ticked off with the government because they made him split up his oil monopoly, and so he funded medical schools and said, "I will only fund you if you push pharmaceuticals." So here we are today. Um, my youngest son had what they call COVID cough, and I've heard of that. Is that part of the long COVID that they talk about? Um, was in Illinois for a minute and visited that creepy church. Pastor asked while I was here. I said I googled nearest Christian church to me. I'm not sure. I'm not sure which creepy church that is, Texas. Yeah, that's right, Robbie. Rebecca does some great stuff too. Um, I don't know. I think she may. I think she may actually be subscribed. That's up. Hmm. No, I'm not. I'm not a veteran. Um, I never was in the military. I would have liked to have at one point when so when I was a senior in high school. That was in '91, and so that was during the first Gulf War, and I was um, I was very seriously considering um, going into the military. I made I got a good score on my ASVAB test, and I actually had a recruiter from the Air Force that had called me on the phone, and I didn't know it was a recruiter. He said he was a recruiter, but he sounded exactly like a friend of mine from high school, and so he said, "This is so and so from Vance Air Force Base in Enid," and he said, "I was just wondering if I could talk to you for a minute." And I said, "Oh yeah, sure." No, seriously, this is Kyle. And he said, "No, this is so and so in the Air Force," and it sounded exactly like a friend of mine in high school, and so I never believed him, and he wound up saying, "Well, I'm sorry I wasted your time," and he hung up, and it was like 2 days later, I talked to my friend at school. I said, "Why did you call me?" That because it was just weird that you called me, and he said, "I didn't call you." So it really was the Air Force recruiter that was calling me, and I felt bad about it, but I never did go seek that out at all. Kelly's so Kelly is working on a every night. She is working on training for her work, that she has a time crunch to get it done, and she has to be finished with it. Things at work got kind of crazy, and so she started last year with this training, and it has had to been pushed back a few times, and so she hasn't been able to take care of it like she wanted to because other stuff at work happens. Well, now she has to finish, and so she's pushing through and really working hard trying to get it done. And so every evening she is on the computer trying to take care of that. Yeah, that's right, Robbie. It's got to be from the Bible. Um, yeah, whenever a crazy healthcare system, uh, whenever a doctor only wants to give you pills, only wants to give you a shot, only wants to do surgery and stuff like that. Y'all, majority of the time there are other alternatives. Yeah, R and W, Tony. I I think I've had it 3 times as well. I've had twice maybe, 2 times, 2 times COVID and 1 time flu A. Yeah, at least that. And I will tell you, flu A was as sick as I have ever felt. It was miserable. Um, I could deal with COVID. But flu A was incredibly miserable. Hey Doris, I'm glad you hopped on here. I saw that you commented on my post, and so I tried to make sure that I put out uh, a reminder that I was going to go live, and so I'm glad that you were able to hop on here. So um, let's see. Yeah, Robbie, Doris is one of my top subscribers. So she's always gracious with her comments. Um, so I went out. Well, I think it was when Money Pit was on earlier. I knew it was going to be raining here this week, and so I knew I needed to clean out the chicken coop, and so I took time to go out there, and I thought, well, it'll take me 20, 25 minutes, and y'all, it took me 45 plus minutes to get that thing cleaned out, and so my plan was to finish with the chicken coop and then hop back on for the last 15, 20 minutes of Money Pit, but I think I got the last like 3, 4 minutes. So, but that's not true, Texas Loan. This is my very first time, and so it has nothing to do with anybody liking you or not. This is just my very first live, so I'm just trying to figure this thing out. Bacon steak. What is a bacon steak? Is it thick cut bacon? Bacon? Oh, you're welcome, Doris. Yeah, Texas. I'm just like I said, this is my very first live, and so um, Jack kind of forced me into it, and I'm trying to be as good as he is at it, and but it's going to take me a while. So I'm going to pass Robbie before too long because I'm just better than he is at most everything. Not really. That's a joke. I'm kidding. But Jack has forced me in. He's been saying for weeks, John, you got to do it. You got to do it. You got to do it. And so he just beat me down enough where I finally said, okay. Not really. I'm kidding. Yeah, I think if I do this again, I'll probably try to make a list of things that I can talk about. But so earlier y'all were talking about snakes in different places. Yeah, what part Texas? What part of Texas are you in? Dorset was good. I spent the week. Work was fine, um, but I spent the okay Midland. Um, I am in the northwest corner of central Oklahoma. So, but Doris, I spent my evenings this week preparing. I preached today. I preached at church this morning, so I spent a lot of time preparing for that. Well, Richard, I don't know about lives, but I enjoy your uh, I enjoy your dub over whenever you're talking on your videos. You do a good job on that. Um, so I actually wrote down. I wrote down the venomous snakes that we have in Oklahoma, and one, two, three, four. We have 5 different types of uh, rattlesnake: a western pygmy, a western Massasauga, a prairie rattler, timber rattler, and a western diamondback. A Texas coral snake, northern cottonmouth, broad-banded copperhead, and an eastern copperhead. And and we do also have alligators down southeast. So big man, I tell you what, I think I've had a bacon steak before then. Yeah. The air. So just what I find interesting is I live in Kingfisher County, Oklahoma, and I don't know if we have any venomous snakes in Kingfisher County. If we do, it's on the outskirts of the county. Where I live, I grew up in this house, in this neighborhood, well, in this part of the country, our little town, our county. There has never been a venomous snake within at least 5 miles of this house that I have ever heard reported. And so I don't know if I don't know if our habitat around here isn't conducive, but I have never heard of any venomous snakes around right here. I know there's never been any that we've seen. So, um, Doris, I'm not. I have experience at it over the years, and um, I've done it off and on since 1995 or so, even before that. But since 1995, I've done it off and on, and so I'm kind of experienced a little bit. But I do have those times when it takes me time to get rolling and to really kind of get in a groove. Told him earlier that it takes me a good third of the message before I can uh, before I really am comfortable. And I was talking to Kelly about it earlier today, and she said, "Well, it's just if I were to do it more often or regularly, then I would be able to get into it earlier." And so, yeah, um, I'm actually going to put a video up probably on Tuesday, and in the comment section or in the information section of the video, I'm going to put a link to our church's YouTube to the video from today. But I'm disappointed because it doesn't record loudly. When I was listening to it on my phone, I had to have it all the way up, and it stuck in my ear because that's how bad the recording was. But I'm gonna link to it so in case anybody wants to see it. Yeah, Texas. Sorry. I know a lot of people that do eat them. We have a number of places here in Oklahoma where there are rattlesnake roundups or just festivals, and so that's one of the things that they put on the menu. And so they'll have food booths or they'll have food trucks, and a lot of people will eat their meat. Yeah, Jack, I'm sure it is. Mind trying? Yeah, I've never had it, Robbie. I would. I'm not opposed to trying it, but I've just never had the opportunity to try snake. Fishy chicken. Okay. I don't know, Jack. I don't know if I am. I'm not trained. I'm not trained in that way, and so I don't know. I'm just not sure. Um, Tastes like chicken. Hi, Hippie Callier. I actually jumped on your live a little bit earlier. I didn't say anything, but um, I didn't say anything, but I did hit the thumbs up for you. Texas Loan, are you talking about a video um, about eating snake, preparing snake? Oh, money pit. You would never eat snake? Well, I don't know. I have I don't have any aversion to eating just about anything. I've had food multiple places, and here in the states and in some other countries, um, but I have no problem trying foods I've never had before. If it's gross, I just won't finish it. I won't eat it again. But I'll try just about anything. Okay, Texas. Free meat, yeah, because free meat unless you have it at an exotic food restaurant. But impressive for people who eat it. Like I said, I have wanted to try it, and I have seen it a number of places, and so someday I'm going to give it a shot. Well, I mean that's fine. I mean, don't want to try it, no reason to. So there's a snake in my boot. There's a snake in my boot. That's a good one. Sure. Yeah, Doris. Doris, do y'all have any kind of venomous snakes up there that you're aware of? Wallet snakeskin. Um, so when they make a snake, so they make a snakeskin wallet. Is it prepared like leather, or can you feel the scales? Do the scales don't get caught on anything? With enough butter. Yeah, all right. Jack, whenever you use butter, do you use salted butter or do you use unsalted butter with carnivore? Oh, I bet, Tony. Um, that's kind of like if you go to other countries and you ask them what it is and they say it's bush meat. Don't ask. You may not want to know what it is. How was that, Richard? The muskrat. Thanks, Robbie. I've never had alligator, but I want to try it. I really think that would be good. So it's one of the weirdest things, and it's not that weird really if you think about it. But I lived in Jamaica for a few years, and one of the weirdest things that I went to a dinner at a church, and they had this big. I mean, it was a big pot, but it was chicken foot soup, and a lot of people were like, "Oh, that's gross," but it's the foot is part of the chicken, and there's a lot of flavor. Of course, they washed it first. Don't worry. It even with chicken poop, they wash all that off. They get it all clean. But the chicken foot itself has a lot of flavor. And they'll use it. They can use it to make stock and all that stuff. But they throw it in the soup to get that flavor from it. And because I was one of the guests, I got 3 chicken feet in my cup. I don't know why that's a thing, but if you're a special guest, you get extra chicken feet in your cup. I was just wanting the broth and the vegetables, but it was good. It really was. It was really better than you would imagine. All right, Jack. I didn't know if it was if salted or unsalted mattered. Richard, they can hide a lot of things in tomato sauce. I got you, Doris. Um, so I'm guessing not too many snakes at all then. Now, do people eat? I know people eat like the tail of alligator because it's chunky and it's a lot of meat. But do people eat very much of the rest of the alligator? All right, Texas. So, oh, hold on. That I've always wondered. I've always wondered how those are. Um, I not that I've been looking, but I guess my brain would say that it was more fragile. But I guess I guess out in the wild they're not fragile, so I don't know why I would think that way. Tony, yeah, just eat it. Don't ask. Just eat it. Oh, fish from Haiti. I've never been, but the mission organization I was with, um, we had ministry in Haiti, and I never got to go. Ocean fish. Well, there you go. You don't need to know specific. It came out of the ocean. It's just a fish. Doris, that's what I've wanted to try bear, but I've never been where I could. But that's another one of those things that I'm not opposed to giving a shot. An ostrich. So Money Pit, we had a family here in our hometown that when I was growing up, they actually raised ostriches for meat and for the eggs because you can get a lot of money if you sell on the right market. And so, but I never had the ostrich meat, but we had a guy bring one of the ostrich eggs to men's breakfast one Saturday, and it was far more egg than we needed, but we had to actually use a hammer to get into it. Yeah, I've seen where people eat tarantula and scorpions. Um, Now with those and the crickets and eggs, how do they fix them like kind of like stir fry, or are they in a soup type? Um, Alligator ribs and the legs have me. Okay, so hmm. Yeah, as for the salt, I've seen a lot recently about what's one of the things that they say when you have a high blood pressure. Stay like reduce your amount of salt. Well, really, that's counter to what your body actually needs, and that just comes from. Um, I'm not going to get into the whole thing, but if you're in an ambulance and you um, are on a low sodium diet and you're about to stroke out, what do? They push 9,000, what 9,000 whatever of salt into your body, and so if you're not supposed to have it because it's going to cause a stroke, and then they force all that salt into your body, I mean, come on, that doesn't sound right to me. Garter, yep. One of our biggest is rat snakes. Sorry. This is what it's been like for the last 2 months. So 3 or 4 times a day. I'm so sorry. Um, but one of my favorite snakes that we have here in Oklahoma is a hognose, and a lot of people call them drama noodles. And when I was growing up, we call them Oklahoma cobras because they spread out, or spread natters, because they spread out their neck like a cobra, and they act real big and bad, but they're just they're a cute little snake, and so that's my favorite. No, I'm Robbie. I would never eat bear, my dog. I would never do that. Buffalo and shark. Yeah. Now I knew about ostrich leather, so I've seen some really nice work with that. Um, is it roasted? Okay. Ant eggs like caviar, huh? I would not have guessed that, but okay. Snakeheads on people's fences, like they cut them off and hang them over. So I've seen where people put catfish heads on fence posts, and I had a pastor one time that he and one of the deacons from the church, they went to Lake Texoma, and they were gone all day, and they were noodling, and so the deacon had a pontoon boat, and he had an air compressor on it, and they had like two 75-foot hoses, and they had masks and breathing apparatus and all that, and so that's how they snorkel. That's how they went hand fishing for catfish, and so they were gone all day. They caught 3 fish. They brought them home, and they cleaned them. And 3 fish put 99 pounds of meat in the freezer. And one of the biggest head, they took a gallon jug and stuck in the middle. And that was back whenever we had 3 liter bottles, and on either side of the jug they had a 3 liter bottle. So 2 3 liter bottles and a milk jug was in the mouth of that catfish. And then they hung that and some other catfish heads on fence posts. Yeah, I don't think it's gonna eat moose. See, Robbie, you just come up with weird suggestions. Yeah, I knew the protein for crickets and a lot of other insects as well. Yeah, Dino, like I said, I don't know. I need to take a look and find out for sure what it is that I'm taking. No, Doris, I went with them. I went with those two before. Um, Gosh, that was a long time ago. That was like 97. So that was a long time ago. I went with them, but I held the boat. And so we caught a lot of fish that day, but none were that big. So yeah, Texas. I have seen where some other countries have horse farms, just like we have cattle farms. So I knew there were places around the world where it was more common to eat horse, but not so much here. And I think for me, if I knew it was horse, I probably would not eat it. If I was starving, I have no problem. If I was at that point where I just needed some sustenance, I wouldn't think about it. But if I have a choice, I probably would not. Yeah, Jack, it was big. They were serving us horse meat. My God. Yeah, that would be the thing, Robbie. Um, whenever meat is more expensive, they're probably not going to be serving it to you um, unless they know that you're going to be able to pay for it. cheese from a. So they wait for the donkey to have their baby, and then they milk it. Is that how they do that? I don't know that I've ever heard of that. Yeah, yeah, that better be some good cheese. Yeah, I know. I've heard people talk about camel, and they say that it's not too bad. So camel makes me think of one of my previous Friday fast facts. Did you know it's illegal to hunt camel in Arizona? All right. Yeah, I mean, I know that I've heard of people milking their donkeys, not for cheese, but for like if the donkey won't accept its baby, that they'll milk it. But never would have thought about making cheese. Yes, Robbie, you knew that. Yeah, just so you know, Jack. Now you don't have to worry about accidentally doing that. Yeah, Texas. It's funny how a lot of laws from way back never get changed, and sometimes the police or the prosecutor or whatever, they will come after somebody on some obscure rule or law, that they can't get somebody on some other charges, and so they just like randomly, like somebody knows all these laws for some reason, and they just randomly pick one, and they use it on people sometimes. So you can't see him, but behind you guys down here, Bear is sleeping on his bed, and he's starting to twitch like he's having a dream. I mean, if I were starving, yeah, I would eat it. So years ago, I worked at a pig farm nearby, and it was a commercial hog farm, and so I worked in a unit. We had at any given time 25,000 pigs, and it was a genetic nucleus, and so they were trying to improve, um, like intervals, like decrease intervals between like how many litters a pig could have in a year's time, and at the time they were averaging like 2.5, 2 3/4 a year. Yeah, but while I worked there, there was a guy that he didn't speak very much English, and his name was Perfecto. And there was another guy that worked there, and he's from the area. And one day, Perfecto, a lot of times he'd bring lunch and he'd throw it in the oven, and boy, it smelled good. He threw his lunch in the oven, and it was tamales, and oh man! But this other guy came in and said, "Perfecto, what do you got?" And he said, "Tamale." And he said, "Can I try some?" And so he said, "Yes." And he gave him a tamale, and boy, he ate it, and he loved it. And he said, "You want more?" And so he got a second tamale from Perfecto, and he was about halfway done with the second tamale, and he said, "Perfecto, what is this?" He said, "It tastes a little different." And he looked at him, dead face, and he said, "Dog." And the guy went to the bathroom and got sick, and he never asked for food from Perfecto again. Man, that would be a tough one. Um, I don't know. I know about that. You know about that plane going down, and I watched that movie, and I tell you what, that was. Ugh, I I don't know. I might starve on that one, but I'm too fat to try to do all the stuff to survive. So I would tell everybody, if I die, you can eat me, and there's a lot of me to go around. Did you know a guy named? No, I don't. I don't remember anybody named Darren Bridges. But there were a lot of people on a lot of farms out this way. So yeah, um, I got you, Texas. I don't know. I don't. They can't start with my butt though, because I got a. I'm a big guy, and most of mine is around my middle section. Man, y'all, I didn't know how this was going to go, but I appreciate you guys jumping in here. It's already 8:52, and that was a really fast 52 minutes. So, but I'm not jumping off quite yet. But I just want to thank you guys for making this a great first time. Yeah, I appreciate it, Jack. But I'm like I said, I'm glad I had my cough drops, because even with that, my throat's starting to get a little sore, and I'm gonna see what I can do before I go to bed. I might have to have some sleepy time tea. Well, thank you, Robbie. Thanks, Doris. I appreciate it. I'm so glad that you got to join in. Um, and so while we're still on here, who drinks tea, and what is your favorite tea? Um, like in the evenings for me, sometimes if I've not been resting well, I like to drink some sleepy time tea about 40 minutes before I go to bed. Um, but all right, Dina. Well, enjoy that tea. Like I said, yeah, sleepy time. So it really is. It's got a good flavor too. Um, you're dying thirsty. Yeah, I'd probably die of thirst. Yeah, that's unless I had a life straw. If I had a life straw, I might drink it. Maybe I need to get some life straws just in case. So this is not the tea I was talking about. I was talking about brewed tea, but this is this is the tea Gold Peak unsweet black tea. This is I've been drinking a lot of this and water this month in place of Dr Pepper, and so It comes in handy. It really does. And so a year ago, I did no tea for August, and that's when I really started to experiment with brewed teas or hot teas. And so I like English breakfast tea steeped with peppermint tea or some other type of mint tea together. Those are good. Um, like yeah, there's a handful of things. Pomegranate. There's a pomegranate one that I like, and so yeah, I like some hot teas. Ginger tea, yeah. Um, so I have we have a lemon ginger that I like. HTO, yeah. Coffee in the mornings. Water. Do you ever heat your water, or do you just drink it cold out of the tap or something? I like lemon though. I like lemon juice in my tea and my water, um, on my fish. Yeah, Robbie, that's kind of where I need to get to. I have saved some money though because I'm not drinking Dr Pepper this month. That means I'm not buying it out of the machine at work, but I'm also not getting as much snack foods out of the machine at work because I'm not getting the Dr Pepper. So it's a win-win. So is HTO, is that like a store bought tea, or is that a hot tea, or what is that? Just cold crushed iced tea. Huh. Cold with ice cubes or crushed ice. All right. Yeah, I'd be good with that. Like I said, I like lemon, um, and I like water, and they go together pretty well. Okay, a Texas chain. So is that like a? I'm not saying it's the same. It's not the same exact same thing, but I know Milo's is a brand. Um, like you say Texas chain. Is that like just a brand you find in stores? Um, One of my favorite restaurant teas is from McAllister's Deli. So every time we go to McAllister's, we get tea, and in the past I have gotten gallons of it, and so that's one of my favorites. Sweet tea. See, and Robbie, I've never liked sweet tea. I can't drink it. If there's any sweetness to my tea, I can't drink it. I have to pour it out. Okay, so I may have to look into HTO just to see what it is. That's awesome. Oh, cool. All right. Well, that's. I'll definitely have to. If we ever run across one of those, I'll have to go check it out. Jack, have you ever liked sweet tea, or have you always been an unsweet guy? So when I was growing up, we didn't do sweet tea anyway. We didn't even do brewed tea. We did the instant tea. You get a pitcher full of water and two big spoonfuls of the instant tea and mix it up, and that was our tea. All right, Richard, thanks for joining in. I really appreciate it. Playing golf. I feel sorry for you. That's a horrible day. Have a good time. I hope you do well. Yeah, yeah, same here, Jack. And Robbie, same here. Well, you guys, it's 9 o'clock, and I've got some things I got to do. Thank you all so much for joining in. I really appreciate it. And if I get to do this again, I hope you guys will join me then too. And yeah, so I'm gonna get off here. Thanks to everyone. Thanks especially to Jack and Robbie for pushing me to actually do it. And yeah, I think I'm gonna try to do it more often. So. Richard, Doris, Jack, Texas. Hey, Texas, what's your first name? I don't want to keep calling you Texas unless you just want me to. All right, I appreciate it. Thank you. You too. Eric, all right, appreciate it. Thanks for coming on, Eric. All right, well, you guys, I'm going to get off here, and y'all have a great week. And whatever it is you find to do, make a difference in somebody else's life. All right, see you guys.